You know what I think? I think it's not just that you're brave. I think that you're actually so accomplished in your craft that I can say to you, can I record this? And you say, yeah, go ahead, because I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Not everybody can say that I know what I'm doing. So, as part of the Global African Research Trod that I'm currently on, I'm wanting to boost our ability to comprehend the context within which we operate and how we can respond effectively. Okay, so I'm focusing on education at the moment, and I want to really convey how interrelated aspects of our lives are. So for this particular conversation, I'm talking about music, and I'm talking about using music as a way to perhaps rehearse how we're going to make our listening more acute, and understand the relationship between listening, the impact on us, maybe some of the DNA responses to what we're hearing as we're being stimulated. So this track is a track I love. It's Beres Hammond, who I love, and it is called Full Attention. And I'm going to ask that we take it to the beginning so that I can work out what we're actually listening to.
Okay.
Under your guidance, Mr. Sam West. So basically, I'm putting myself through a process. So I heard the vocals and the drums, and I'm hearing some kind of reverb, am I?
Yeah,
What is that?
the reverb is the delay on the saxophones. They're delaying them.
Okay. But underlying it is a bass line. And the timing is a what?
It's 4.
Okay.
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. Okay. So when the track started, there was a kind of wake-up call. Listen up.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Pay attention, and then we're dropping into it. And the vocals. Underlying the vocals is the sax, or the sax, saxophones.
And those are the 2 sopranos. Hold on, sorry. Let's just check that another time. It's the two
altos?
Yes, the 2 altos.
Okay.
Those are more like the harmony.
Okay.
And the solo saxophone is the one that does all the embellishment.
Okay.
This one.
That's okay. And the drums. What kind of drums am I listening to?
You're hearing the drum kit and the bass drum. Let's just check the bass drum. The bass drum pattern is quite intricate. Sorry. Can you hear it? It's very similar to what the bass is doing.
Yes, and I'm having to work hard to separate them out.
Yeah. It's almost doing.
Okay. Yes, I'm hearing it, yes.
So it's together with the bass some of the time, and then it has its own 2 little beats at the end.
Okay, alright.
Right, so those are some of the low frequencies that we've identified.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the low frequencies back down.
Okay.
And then, if we go to the mid, that's where we hit the saxophones again. The snare drum is also there.
Okay.
So is the vocal. And the keyboards.
But so those 2 alto saxophones are harmonies because they're kind of caressing me in a kind of way.
Yes.
And then you've got the which is an urgency, you know, and Beres Hammond is expressing an urgency, like,
it's almost,
are you listening?
Yeah, you know what kind of similarity it is to me. It's almost like a wave, and he's like just riding on the wave, like surfboarding.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
On top of all of those instruments and the excitement.
Yes. And when he's singing here, it's very different to that urgency at some point.
Yeah.
So it's like he's calming you down, like, let me reassure you.
And this is the important thing about listening as well. Sometimes if you're hearing like just full on all the time, you can't appreciate it. Yeah? But if you hear like a little soft sound and then it builds, then you can
like conversation. You know, if I speak to you like this all the time, it's too much. Or if I kind of like,
it's too intense.
Yeah. But then you know, maybe your brain can't decipher everything because it's so heightened.
Yes.
But if you're speaking and then at some point you pause, because one of the things that I think you said is that the track has space.
Yes.
You know, which gives you a chance to just digest what you've heard, and at the same time, the whole time you're being kept on this, is it beat of 4?
Yeah, it's just a steady, and that's like a pulse.
Right. Which is what the drum is, you know, it's like a heartbeat just the whole time.
So that introduction, tum tagadadadam,
right?
Yeah, that's just like, if you could just imagine like in the old days when they used to have the talking drums.
Yes.
You know, that's just like listen up.
Yes.
Dum tagadadadam.
Yes.
You know?
Which is very much a part of our African history. You know, we would communicate using things other than the English language.
Right.
I think that depending on the English language has put us at a great disadvantage.
Yeah. And are you just talking about English language specifically, not the African dialects?
Well, the reason why I'm speaking about English is because I'm an African-centered scholar, and I reference at times an intervention in our history that has affected our ability to communicate with each other.
Right.
So all sorts of things are in the way, like you know, our complexion, our hair, you know, what we physically own, all sorts of things. And then we can't even call each other by our names properly because our tongues have become lazy. We can't articulate the kind of sounds, like is it the clicking sound in South Africa? So there are a number of things that English has stopped us from being able to do properly. So I speak to English because we are having an experience and we can't articulate to each other what it is because all we have is English if we're not careful. So for me, music is another aspect of talking to each other. You know, silence is a way of talking to each other. Being with each other, eye contact is another way. You know, there's other ways of communicating. Historically, and even nowadays, some of us have the ability to put our children in check just by giving them a look.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I would say most of us.
Well, I think some of our younger generations need to be helped in terms of remembering how to do that, because with social media, you don't use your eyes that much. You know what I mean? You just get vexed when the child is out of order. But there are ways of communicating non-verbally to have people understand, okay, enough now. You know, you better straighten up and fly, right? Otherwise, you know what I mean? You don't need to specify what the otherwise is.
But there's no threat these days, really.
And
you know, punishment.
There's no consequence.
No.
Yes. Because sometimes there's a lot of threat.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The consequences of your action is whatever it is.
Yeah,
you know?
And they will ask you what. So what?
Yes. But you know, they're not raising themselves. We're raising them. So we could talk to how they respond, but we also have to talk to how we respond to how they're responding now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're going to push the boundaries, and they're going to see other people behaving in a certain way and believe that they can do it too.
Yeah.
But they have to be made to understand that you can't bring that here because it doesn't work. You will be in danger. You know, somebody will hurt somebody. Just like that. So yeah, using distract and help heighten
Yeah.
my ability to listen and also to develop transferable skills, I think is a key aspect of our response in a system that really doesn't cultivate our fullness. You know, many of us have gifts,
Yeah.
or we have intellectual capacity, or we have spiritual depth. We have a lot of things, and it's not cultivated sufficiently so that we can realize our fullness. That's a concern for me.
Yeah. And I suppose that actually results in lots of other offshoots like mental illness. And those
Mental
kind
illness. We don't achieve as much as we could in the workplace. We don't know how to respond to situations of injustice. Our relationships are messed up because a lot of pent up stuff that we can't articulate, and it comes out in harmful ways sometimes. So yes, science,
Yeah. Yeah.
love it.
And it's all around us. So if we check, because we've checked the low frequencies and the mid frequencies.
Right.
So you are the one who brought to my attention the triangle.
And everybody can't hear it because, as you would have said earlier on, as we get up in age, or something else might happen to impair our ability to hear everything.
Yes. It's known that as we get older, the higher frequencies
Diminish,
Yes. But then if we're listening to loud music all the time, especially with headphones on and stuff like that, we're going to lose it quicker.
Right.
Or depending on what kind of job we're doing, what we're exposed to.
So what's in the high frequencies? There's a triangle,
It's a triangle and the kabasa, the shaker thing.
the kabasa.
And then of course, like some of the other instruments like the saxophone, if you take the high frequency down, it becomes less clear.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. And that's, I think, how some of us are hearing the music, and it's how some of us are experiencing life. And muffled. No, seriously.
Yeah,
We're
well-
muffled. We're not having a heightened experience in places.
But-
Even when we eat, we're not tasting the food.
But-
We're just guzzling down stuff. And
But a lot of it is to do with the environment though as well, isn't it?
it is to do with environment, and it is also to do with lifestyle. You know, some of us are constantly muffling or dumbing down our divine aspects. So, you know, we have the ability to feel, we have the ability to see, to listen, to, you know, to not just listening and hearing noise, but to appreciate. Yeah, we're dumbing a lot of it's muffled, and some of it's muffled because of pain, or some of it's muffled because it wasn't cultivated, or when you brought it, somebody told you ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we're in a situation where we're doing self-development and self-empowerment and, you know, raising our own self to a higher frequency or a higher ability, or improving our level of capacity and competence, we really need to cultivate this. We really need to do what I've been doing this morning, really, which is to pay attention to what I've been able to pay attention to before.
Yeah.
So,
And just out of interest, it's my turn to ask you something. At the beginning, I played something to you on the piano, part of the Moonlight Sonata.
by Beethoven.
Yes. Now that's coming back from like an old colonial type of background. How would you say that affected you? Even in listening, did that have a positive effect? How did it affect you?
Well, the dynamics of you playing that, first of all, was perhaps different from if someone else had played it, in that you didn't use a machine to play. You didn't press play. You actually played it with your own divine, God-given gift. That in itself, for me, heightened my experience. That you could produce and replicate that melody the way you did. You know, you're a very gifted being. So just being in the presence of you while you gifted me that sound was amazing. I think the melody is good and the harmony is good. What I'm aware of is that I like a drum
Right.
and I like a bass line. That's just, you know what I like.
Yeah.
But I have an appreciation of a melody, and also the way you play. You become part of the instrument, because even in your movement, you became part of the instrument, and you also were being, I would want to suggest, we were both being comforted and caressed by the melody. And for me, that was really, that helped me to get here, because I just come through traffic. It helped me to kind of be present.
That was part of my intention also.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because playing all of those music in the right way that I want to has been a journey. It's because sometimes I would have just been thinking, you know, I must get all the notes right. And then that is just like the wrong way to think. Yeah? So now it's like I actually have to connect.
Yes.
You know? So we're coming back to the listening again. I have to be able to listen properly to the music even before I'm playing it.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So, as you said, the listening is so important.
Absolutely.
In life.
And how you respond, because you were listening to it even before you began to play it, and then when you were playing it, you were responding to what you were playing and what was happening to you when you were listening to it. So you became a part of the instrument, a part of the melody, a part of the whole experience. And fortunately, I recorded it, so I'll make it available on YouTube so people can see what it is. No, because it's important to play an instrument. Actually, is a demonstration of you are activating various parts of your being. To be able to manipulate your fingers, you need to know where all the keys are. You need to know how long you do it for. You need to know what to do at what point. You know, all of those things. That's a science. It's a science, and often people see science as, you know, what they would call pure science in a lab. But I'm suggesting that the science of the manipulation of our own self to produce what we need to do to realize our purpose here in this time is what we need more of. We need to be activating ourselves. We need to be going inside of ourselves, pulling out those divine gifts and manipulating them so that we can navigate this journey of life and make a positive contribution to those of us around. I think that those things need to be cultivated, and in that way I think we get a richer life journey, you know, where there's less chance of harming us because we're so acutely aware of what's coming at us and what we want to keep and what we want to reject and what we can do with what's coming in, and all of those sorts of, it's a science. It's a science, and I think that most of us don't necessarily use it. That's
what I was thinking, because to hear that it's a science, it's not the way that I would normally think about it. I would think of it's a discipline that you practice and you get it right.
But
you know?
but you can repeat it, right?
Yes.
You can do it again and again. I can't. There's a science to it. There's a science. There's a thing that you know, if you do it this kind of way, you're going to get this kind of sound, this kind of feeling, this kind of response, and you can repeat it. It's a science.
Yeah, and I suppose it brings me to another thing that you said about disregarding some of the abilities, because sometimes we do tend to disregard what we do.
Yes.
You know, because I mentioned to you about the intellectual aspect of your work, and you said, you know, well, it's not only about studying and having that paper from this establishment. We all have that ability.
We do, and a focus that many of us have is that a Eurocentric institution gave you a qualification. Therefore, you are now established as an accomplished. You have the authority to, you know, it's just an institution, and the institution is Eurocentric. So what about the divinely bestowed gift that the Most High gave you? You don't need a piece of paper for that.
So how do we recognize it then?
What we need to do is operate more in our spiritual space. I think we need to really amplify the spiritual aspect of ourselves and recognize the divinity in one another. So when I come to you, I know I'm coming before greatness. I know it. And most people wouldn't necessarily say that, but I'm telling you,
Well, I feel the same when you come to me.
Right.
Come to
And
me
that
with
for me
greatness.
is about divine respect. It's a way of being that I think more of us need to cultivate. It takes nothing away from me when I say I recognize your divine gifts and and I hold you in high esteem, because it takes nothing away from me.
Because of where you are, where you're at. But some people wouldn't want to do that.
Right, and that's because I want to humbly suggest we are adhering to a frame of reference that is not in line with our divine being. If we change our focus and hang our behavior and our principles and practices on an alternative frame of reference, one that is spiritual, you recognize that the Most High, that the universe, that whatever powers gives us gifts. And when we move among each other, I recognize that this person has a divine gift and that one has a divine gift and I have a divine gift. It makes my life journey a different kind of experience. I can bring my children into an environment where you celebrate what people have and you show the possibility of what they can have and what they can become. Instead of saying, well, that person is the musician around here, so I don't know anything. Well, there's a relationship you can have with that person.
Of course.
You may not be as accomplished as them, but I certainly can appreciate what you have. And if you're open, I can give you a response, and then you can give me a response, and then I can give you a response, and then other people can join in, and we can be in dialogue, or we can be in discussion about the richness. You know what I mean? It's not about taking anything away from anyone. It really isn't. I'm not from that school. I think it's harmful.
That is so enriching. And what I would like to ask you, what about people who say to you now, okay, well, we see what you're doing about listening to this music, but where is it going to get us? How is it going to help? How is it going to help us to know what's going on in this track, for instance?
Okay. So the cultivating your listening abilities is not just about listening to this particular track or listening to music per se. It is about recognizing that we're moving through the world and sometimes we're not aware of how much is happening and we're not aware of it.
Right.
So the birds are singing, the traffic is coming, there's all the static, and we block a lot of it out, and we block out a lot of things.
Yes.
When I came to you and said I wanted to analyze the track, first of all, I explained to you the context, why I was on this journey. It's about the research trod, but it's also about me being able to share with others how much of yourself you're not using. So it's not just about listening to the music, it's about
being aware, I suppose.
being aware so you can navigate your life journey. And then the other thing is that I often say English is not our first language. So you started to write down the language of this.
Right.
That's powerful to me. That's just very powerful. So I give thanks.
I have to.
Yes.
1 second.